I'm gonna just leave you here. What is up, guys? How is everyone doing? Welcome to the show. Today we have a special guest, author, podcaster, and autism awareness, Miss Christine Mickelson.
Yes. Hi, Jake.
How you doing? And by the way, I usually get your name wrong. Is it Mickelson?
It is. It's Christy Mickelson. You got
Yeah,
it perfect.
yeah. I hope. Hold on, we got a little thing right here. Sorry if I'm like they have this thing now where you could do the chat bot right there.
Oh, yes. Yes, I
Chat
see.
box. Yeah, but I hope everybody is staying safe. I hope everybody's doing well on this great, fabulous Thursday afternoon. And it's hot. It's hot. But tell us a little bit about yourself, Chrissy. Christy.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. As Jake said, my name is Christy Mickelson. I am a book author, a podcast host, and an advocate for causes such as cancer, autism, and lupus awareness. You can actually find out more about me by visiting my website at christymickelson.com, or you can find my podcast, WWAA Podcast, on all the podcast platforms. I am a mother of two autistic children. Well, they're young adults now, my son Josh and my daughter Cassie. Josh has high functioning autism. Back in the day, we called it Asperger's. And now I believe it's called level 1. And then my
Uh, uh,
daughter,
right.
yes, go right ahead.
Sorry. Is I think it's called. They now call it as ASD, autism spectrum disorder.
Very good. Thank you, Jake. See, I have it's been a while since I've done a lot of advocacy for autism. My kids are now in their 20s. So it's
Yeah.
been a long time since I've gotten the terminology proper.
Yeah.
So yes, my children are autistic.
Yeah.
Again, my daughter is moderate severe, and
Yeah.
then I deal with lupus for
Yeah.
myself on a daily basis. So that's a little bit
Sorry.
about me, ladies and gentlemen. Oh,
Yeah.
never apologize. Never apologize.
One thing that you do a lot with wrestling. I saw that you promoted a few events for wrestling.
Absolutely. Let me tell you a little bit about that. It's kind of a short, kind of long story here. I'll make it as short as possible. My son, being on the autism spectrum, had always been obsessed with WWE. He wanted to be a WWE wrestler. Well, growing up, he had lived in California with me and my husband and my daughter. And during COVID, my husband lost his job and we had to move out of state and find a whole new life for us. Well, we ended up moving to Texas, and my son decided that he was going to look up wrestling schools while we got here. And he found one called MWA, which is Main Event Wrestling. And he trained with the pro wrestlers out here in Texas on the indie circuit. And
Yeah.
he had went far in his training, and he got to where he was doing intern security. He was paying his dues. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, one night out in the audience during his interning, someone started calling him a very bad name, which a lot of us refer to it as the R word because we don't like that word.
Yep.
And someone started picking on him and bullying him, and him being autistic, he took it pretty hard. And he went through suicidal ideation, suicidal thoughts. So, still putting him through therapy and getting him through the hard times that he was going through, we wanted to stay into the wrestling family and into the wrestling business. So
Yeah.
I became a sponsor for our local wrestlers, and I sponsor a lot of our events.
Yep.
And our wrestling family, we call them our family, is helping me put together in November 15th. We're putting together a suicide awareness and prevention fundraiser, wrestling and karaoke VIP party afterwards. So we're
Yep.
going to have all kinds of wrestlers, and we're going to do some matches. And my son is actually going to get step back in the ring and be a referee for this event.
Yeah. And I just want to say that number one, and I think that people forget that when you have a disability, you're human. People, they use in media, they use that word, the R word, religiously
Yes.
to clarify, and it's not right for someone for someone with a disability. By the way, your son had a birthday, uh, recently.
He did. He did. He just turned 28. Oh my gosh, I feel so old.
Yeah. And I want to say that number one is people who don't understand, you know, having to deal with it, and and I want to say that you're a good person. You got a great
Thank you.
community on Twitter. A lot of times, we try to. I've lost, I've we this has been the second interview we tried. The first one we tried to get, and you had to back out at the last minute because of problems. Or
Yes, we had I don't remember what happened. I think it was a scheduling problem. We were
yeah,
supposed to have Axel Savage with us.
yeah,
And Axel was traveling. He's a pro wrestler, ladies and gentlemen. Axel was traveling at the time. And then we could never get the schedules to coordinate between Jake, myself, and Axel. So it's been a
yeah,
while, and I'm finally here.
yeah. And you know what the thing is also I've been watching a few of your stuff, and by the way, I hope you're on. Think you're on Apple, but I'm gonna look for you on
Mhm.
Apple
Yes, I
because
am definitely on Apple.
Apple Podcasting is good. But what do you think about, like, we talked backstage about, like, what do you think about, like, number one, they're doing a show in your neck of the woods in Texas, over in Arlington, called All In Texas. AEW is. Do you follow AEW? Do you?
I am not as big into AEW. My son, he follows all of it. I have followed over the years WWE, a little bit of NXT, Ring of Honor, stuff
Ring
like
of Honor is
that.
doing a show on tomorrow. They're doing a show the day before. They're doing a Texas show before All In tomorrow night. Ring of
Yes,
Honor.
yes. In fact,
Um,
we actually had Shane Taylor from Ring of Honor wrestling my boy Axel Savage. Oh goodness, a year ago at an autism benefit show that we did. So
yeah,
love all of them to death.
and I've actually have had on my show earlier in my first year of podcasting, because I've been podcasting for 5 years, been on YouTube for 9 years, and the reason why I started
Congratulations.
podcasting, thank you. The reason why I started podcasting was because of the death of my father. I lost my father in 2020 to alcoholism, and it's hard
Yeah.
for me to, you know, I want to say that anytime that I'm not promoting my donation links, because this is not about me this today, it's about Christy, sorry.
You're fine, hon. You're fine.
Because if you watch my shows, I'll be promoting my donation link, but I'm not today because I'm trying to. I might do a stream later where, like after interview, because when I do these interviews, I'm just trying to do what's right for my fans. Because
And
that's
I think that's wonderful, Jake.
the fans are the fans are the guys that. So, what do you think about what's going on in this world? About, like, now it's like, there's TV shows talking about autism on the spectrum, and you actually said that you had you didn't like. Sorry if there.
No, you're fine. I personally, Jake, don't watch a lot of the television
She,
shows that regard autism because the one that I actually started to watch, which was The Good Doctor, and that was a while back.
yeah,
To me, they stereotype autism. And that's not what I'm about. I'm not about stereotyping. I'm about the actual person.
yeah,
And you and my children, you're actual people. So I try not to watch television these days, and I get a lot of backlash on that. A lot of people are like, "Why don't you watch these shows? It's about autism." It, to me, autism is it's just a disability. It's not something that I want to sit here and say you're autistic. That's not what I'm about. I'm about getting to know the person. And so watching television shows, sometimes they can help you understand autism, and I understand that. But
yeah,
again, the ones that I have seen, they do nothing but stereotype, and I'm just
yeah.
not about stereotyping.
So, when I was younger, I got sent to a mental hospital twice, and I talked about this. The first time was for 15 days because the bleep doctors. I'm trying to keep it PG here. The bleep doctors decided to put me on mixed Prozac and Ritalin
Oh
together.
my God.
And the second time was because 8 days because they put me on 7 to 10 different medications a day. That's a day.
That's ridiculous.
And they so I'm not trying to I want to have this show is for real people. Real life matters in this show. And I thought I knew that you were busy. I knew you I've been bugging you about this.
For a long time.
Yeah.
In
I've
fact,
been
today I'm kind of in a rush too. I was just telling Jake, ladies and gentlemen, that 10 minutes before I came onto his show, I just finished a show of my own that I've got to get out and put onto the podcast. But
yeah.
my son, who I pick up from work every day, I mean, gets out early tonight. So I'm like in a rush with Jake today too. I'm like, oh man, I feel bad because I've had to put him off so many times. But
Hey,
it's
listen, don't
great
worry
to
about
finally
listen.
be here.
You know what? And the thing is, and you know what? I've done an interview where I did a 15-minute interview before. I've done where I did a couple hours,
Right.
but I know that you're a busy person. I know that, you know, and the thing and the thing is, we, and then, and later, and the thing is, I was actually stressed in 2 days before the show
Why?
because I was nervous because these interviews, because number one, I don't know, didn't because I've listened to you before. I
Right.
try not to listen to like the X stuff, the X spaces, because I think that's yours stuff, not
Right.
me. I'm not trying to like disrespect you, but I love that you are an amazing person. And by the way, I
Oh,
did get
thank
that
you.
$50 you sent a couple months ago.
Awesome. I'm
Remember,
glad you did. I
I
do.
got a. The thing is now it's like everybody. So, you said you haven't listened to Howard Stern in a while. You said you,
Yes. It's been a long time. I'm going to date myself and how old I am. The last time I listened to Howard Stern, Lisa Marie Presley was actually a guest on his show. So it's
ooh.
been a long time.
Hey,
A
by the
very
way,
long time.
The new Howard is not good. I'm gonna say this. He turned into Imus. He turned into Don Imus.
Oh wow.
He
So
he
yeah,
became he
not me.
became woke. Howard Stern became woke, but that's my opinion, not the guest's opinion, because I think. But Howard Stern did call people the R word very bad,
Mm.
and it's you're and you can't do that. You can't. These
No.
are these are real people with real life stories, and you're going on there to shot jock first. That is not right. For some,
Absolutely. My daughter, ladies and gentlemen, for those who can hear this, my
right.
daughter is mildly retarded. She has autism, moderate severe. She has auditory processing disorder, and she
Yeah,
has moderate retardation. It
yeah,
is not something to joke about. And calling people that word, the R word, is very offensive. If you got to know my kids, a lot of people, I get so many compliments because my kids are very loving. They're now young adults, but they're very loving, and they're just normal people. They're looking for acceptance. They're not looking for people to look at them and say, "Oh my God, you're crazy." They're looking for acceptance of who they
yeah.
are.
And you know what the thing is, and that's what sometimes I try to do on these shows is because I try to look because I've gotten I don't leave my house. I don't, but I'm hoping to leave to go to like cons and stuff because to help get awareness for autism and all that. So, and I
Very
do
good.
appreciate a lot of people that I we might do like 20-minute show and then because I know you're busy. I know you got
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go eventually soon here, but I can go a
yeah,
few more minutes with you, Jake.
yeah. Thank you. And one of my things is I'm always trying to and I made you a few songs.
You have, and those have been very popular. We play them around the house, and my kids absolutely love it.
Yeah,
So I thank you
and
for that.
yeah, and the thing is, it's like so many. So the one thing we did, you were a preschool teacher before becoming an author.
I was back, goodness, 2004, I think it was 2004. I had started my schooling, And back in California, where I used to live, there's a thing called state preschool, and it's pretty much you are working for the state. It's not your typical go in, watch the kids play for a while. You're teaching actual subjects. So I had to go
Yeah.
to college, get my ECE units, get some certifications. And then I went to teaching preschool, and I taught preschool for 8 years. And I made a character called the Crazy Hat Lady Silly Preschool Teacher, where I would wear funky hats and funky socks and funky makeup, because I wanted to show the children that education can be fun. It doesn't have to be boring. I mean, so we would come up with some crazy hats, and we taught all kinds of things, like the first man that walked on the moon, Neil Armstrong. We taught so many subjects to these little preschoolers, and we had so many people talking about our crazy hat lady teacher at the school, and the kids learned a lot through that. So I do a thing, or I used to do a thing called whole brain teaching. I mean, that's where you use every inch. You're teaching the entire child things, not just ABC 1, 2, 3. You're teaching a lot about a lot of things in life. I loved teaching. However, I got sick in, I think it was 2012. 2012, I ended up finding out I have lupus and fibromyalgia, and they were also testing me for MS. And I had to leave preschool teaching. And from there, I ended up working at a nursing home later. And then now I can't even explain it. It's been a long journey, but I am now a full-time author, podcast host, and advocate.
Yeah, and you also travel. Like I've seen you do stuff in New York. You do stuff over. And so I was like, here's the thing. Like I told you in the beginning when we jumped in the room, when you said 4 o'clock, I'm like, because you didn't say Central. I thought I didn't read the thing that says Central. But because I know you and I are on the same time zone, so it's refreshing that I have to do Central and not Eastern time zones. Because I work with people with Eastern time zones, and it's you have. And I even work with people in the Mountain time zones and the Pacific time zones, in Japan, Australia, Britain. By the way, I heard there was a show called My 600-Pound Life.
Yes.
Dr. Now moved over to Lifetime now. He's doing stuff with Dr. Now, the person who does the doctor.
Right. I haven't heard about that, but yeah.
He's moving. I don't watch TLC anymore. TLC's turned into a channel where they'll just play reruns, or they'll show shows where it's people with multiple kids or little people. And I don't say I know that they don't like them getting called the M word. The what they refer to as little people. They like to be called little people now. They don't like to be called that word. Sorry.
Absolutely. No, you're fine. Absolutely.
Yeah. But what was your inspiration of doing podcasting?
Oh, podcasting itself.
Yeah.
But when I first started X a few years ago, I had been posting my stuff for my books, and I was still a newbie trying to figure out how to work X and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I somehow connected with Billy Dees, the podcaster, and Billy has had a strong podcasting background. He's been in the business for over 30 years with radio and podcasting. And he asked me, he goes, "Would you like to be a guest on my show?" Well, I didn't even know what a podcast was when I first came on here, but I agreed, and I went on his show. And within the first few minutes to a few hours, etc., we had over 6,000 hits in just a few minutes. And then that was just on YouTube. And then all the audio platforms were really listening, because my story, he had interviewed me about my dad's cancer. He had interviewed me about how I became an author, how my children were autistic.
Yeah.
And that episode went skyrocketing. Like there were so many views. And he looked at me afterwards and he's all, "You have a gift. Why don't you consider podcasting?" And I said, "I don't even know what I would do or what I would talk about." And so he got me started by going into Twitter Spaces and talking to people and listening and see how they went through. And then he helped me pick out equipment like my microphone and my boom arm and all this, my
Yeah.
Revelator, all the stuff that I have. He helped me pick out my equipment, and he became my producer. And he's really helped launch my career between
Yeah.
podcasting, and him and I do a lot of stuff. In fact, I am now one of the associates. I one of his his team on the Billy D's podcast. So I thank Billy D's. He's my biggest inspiration for
Yeah.
podcasting.
By the way, the one thing that I loved about StreamYard, and this is something StreamYard, the two things that they did for the AI clip tool and the chat box, because the chat box, I could tell people can know what we're saying when this goes to audio. I will get this put up. Give me about an hour to put this up on the audios,
Sure.
because number one, I have to download it, make sure that I hand down. I don't export these. I just get it done, do my own stuff, and then this will also be a highlight on Twitch, because we're on Twitch and Kick, and
Wonderful.
we learned a lot of stuff, and I think we might be. I know that you are busy. I know you just got done. I know you got some other stuff you got to do. Any plug? I think we're done. Are we good?
I'm going to go ahead and plug a couple things really fast and just let everybody know that I just put out a new memoir called Sweet Inspiration, available on all the bookstore platforms. So please check that out if you get a chance. And also check out my podcast, WWAA Podcast, available on all podcast platforms.
Yeah.
That's WWAA Podcast. And we talk about all kinds of different themes, from cancer to autism to lupus to sex to drug and alcohol addiction. We talk a little bit about everything. So please feel free to check it out, ladies and gentlemen. And hello, I see people in the chat box. So hi, guys.
By the way, I just want to let people know this is actually my first interview that I'm doing with the new headset.
Well, it sounds great.
With the new headset that I got. I want to say thank you guys. And I know that I haven't been, and I want to say this to the fans that watch this show, and they're going to ask why I'm doing an interview with Christy. I'm sorry.
You're fine. Don't apologize.
I do these shows because I want to show people Christy. I think Christy's an awesome human. She's a very strong person. She's a very strong person when she has to deal with two kids. Both of her young adult kids are both that has a disability. I think it's hard for someone to do that and have to deal with other stuff. And you are showing that you're strong. And thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
And for me to be, I'm 31. I'll be 32 on the 28th. Got a birthday coming up, so but I don't count birthdays anymore. Like I said, I told someone yesterday I don't count my birthdays anymore. You know why? And I don't, because my birthday, for me is, the only thing that I count on my birthday. The only thing is, when I hit a big number like my 30th, I did an 8-hour on my 30th birthday 2 years ago.
Oh, wow. You won't catch me doing no 8 hours for my birthday. I guarantee that.
I do.
I'm too old now.
I don't do things that I try to do. I try to I try to do what's right. And you know what? The thing is, it's, God's going to see us through it. And, I believe there's a God. I believe in God, and I believe in I know that I don't know if you're a Christian or not. So
I am.
Sorry. But I'm asking.
Don't apologize.
Here's the thing.
Do not apologize.
Yeah. All right. Anything that you need to say before we end the show? Before we hit that?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'm going to leave your listeners with the same thing that I would leave my listeners with, and that is, every day, people are battling things that we know nothing about. Sometimes it's autism. Sometimes it's lupus. Sometimes it's things are happening at home that nobody else understands. Every day, people are battling things that we know nothing about. So it's up to us. It's up to all of us to stand up and be kind to one another. Be the one to say, hey, you're looking good today. Or thank you, Jake, for taking the time to get to know me. Be the one to stand up, be the voice, be the change, and be the one to make a difference, because you might be the one to save a life. And with that, I'm going to say thank you very much, Jake.
Thank you. And also, and I want to say, I always say this: peace, love, and cornbread. Y'all remember, DUI means SOL, and always remember this: you're always loved, and you're always loved, and we'll see you when we see you. Bye.
Absolutely. Bye, everyone.
All right.